right, so today I'm bringing in a buddy of mine, Trevin Hegel, who works for the oil industry. How are you doing today?
Good.
So we're going to start off. Would you like to explain your background in this field?
So a quick introduction would be I started at the grunt level back in 2005 working on oil rigs, and I have since then worked myself up to the top level on site. I work with engineers on a daily basis in and drilling performance on the drilling side, and not on the production side.
Cool. So within our class, we talk about renewable energy sources and the future of energy. So what do you define as, well, actually, we'll just say it like this. What is the oil companies doing nowadays to go to a more cleaner way of using energy?
I would say most large oil companies are creating a smaller footprint of CO2 emissions based on regulations created by the government. I know that, what's the CO2 tax that we have going on? Most of our wells drilled are being held back due to CO2 release, methane gas burn-off on the production side. This has caused certain companies, large companies, to invest in solar and wind portions. I think it's a lobbyist, politician-ish kind of scheme to make things look bright and lobby for their own self-interest on both sides, politicians and on large oil companies.
Okay. So second question being, why is oil still a relevant thing since there is a push to go greener?
So the biggest push right now with staying with fossil fuels is the fact of their efficiency versus all green energy. Green energy is not nearly efficient yet. I think numbers might be wrong, but close, 20% efficiency on solar panels. And you're looking at, I think it's 30 to 25% efficiency on wind turbines. Both are large byproducts of oil, and oil is just significantly more efficient. But without a doubt, it's not the most efficient. And with the CO2 release, or all gas releases, there's definitely got to be a push at some point to move into a more efficient fuel source. And I think that's where nuclear energy will be the forefront lead on all energies in the future.
So now that we bring up nuclear energy, do you see the oil companies fully converting to this idea of nuclear energy, or do you think there'll have to be another push for this to occur?
I don't think any oil company will push for nuclear just on the basis of numbers. Unless you are creating your own nuclear plant, you will lose massive amounts of revenue. You're talking about billion-dollar industries, trillion-dollar industries around the world, and they definitely won't go into the steal of the night quietly.
Right. No. Where do you see the future of energy, in particular the oil companies, going in the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years, you'll probably see a huge push in the next 2 to 3 years, a massive uptick in drilling and overall production just based on the current COVID situation with the current administration and all the relief programs and all the garbage that they have going on. We are already seeing a massive uptick in oil drilling and production numbers, and we're still seeing a withdrawal in numbers. Hard to find labor currently with the new administration laws and people staying home, finances and whatnot, getting things organized. My particular company, we've seen a shortage in qualified hands coming back to work just because of the ups and downs of the oil industry. And so I think in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll see a huge uptick, but each election has an ebb and flow. So with the next presidential election, we'll see it could change dramatically. But for the next 3 years, for sure, we'll see a skyrocket in oil prices all the way around the world.
Right. So my last real question for you is, if it was in your belief, what is the best way to go about going to a more green energy source in the United States?
Well, without a doubt, the most green energy source is nuclear energy, with there being zero CO2 emissions. The hardest issue is the construction of a site takes a massive amount of money, and it takes time. I believe it's anywhere between 3 and 5 years for any nuclear plant to be built right now. And with that, looking into other areas of that, there's a massive misconception about nuclear energy in general. I think that would be the greatest way to offset any fossil fuels and any green energy push as of right now, until we find an actual source of energy that will complement what we have already going on in the world.
Now changing gears, I would like to talk to the class of 2070. Though we may have differing opinions on the solution for climate change, one thing is clear: unity is the answer. We as the consumers have the power to change the status quo of oil usage. Every time we purchase these oil products, this allows the oil industry to keep their status quo. If we all come together and stop this purchase of oil products, we can force companies to change their ways and go towards a more green, sustainable energy.